As on the CTs, well, I think the graphic at the top is a bit bugged there, by the way. That kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, it's flipped right now. We do have SK Gaming on the CT side. That's going to be Freeze, Magic's Boy, Madi, Pimp, Cillian, and Tempo Storm as the terrorist. Henny, Phelps, Bolts, Lucas, and Showtime. And it's all in the drop right now. Madi playing that angle. It's a quick release. He has to back off very, very fast. Pimp does find one shot, but the Glocks are getting in close. Cillian finds Henny, Madi as well, as he was able to drop and survive out there. He was watching the window. He moved back into the connector doors and found a kill. Bolts, however, finding some space, an opening here onto the A bomb site, and he will get the bomb down. So the round might be hard to convert, but that extra money coming in.
Absolutely, and that will bolster their economy, of course, going through into that round 3 if they decide to get the AKs then. But this round's not over just yet. Decent enough positions from Tempo Storm. And Showtime, if he lands this headshot, that makes it really interesting now. He's going to look to push. He's a bit worried about Balcony. He's going to pick himself up 2 kills. Meanwhile, Bolt's in the back of the site, but he's got the USP. So those one-taps could be very real, alive and well. And he knows where both players are roughly, so Bolts could pull off a miraculous clutch here. It'll be probably down to Showtime, but he just gets encircled, so he's going to go down regardless. SK will pick up this round, but very labored, a lot harder than it needed to be.
That was an interesting angle that Pulse decided to go with as he drops off the broken wall there in A, just hoping someone would jump over and spot it. And I think he ultimately might have went down from someone who jumped up on top of the hut there in the A site. And will Tempo Storm... Nope, they'll save it. Occasionally, like SK Gaming is expecting them to go ahead and save in full. Sometimes you will see teams just buy up and force out and maybe catch them off guard, but not the case. Just a little bit of utility here for Bolts in an effort to, of course, just plant the bomb again.
Yeah, some P250s in play just to give that kill potential a lot higher. That nade, though, Phelps ate that to the face. Down to 32, he falls. Henny caught a bit of it as well, alongside Showtime and Lucas. Negligible damage, though, to the rest of them. Now, Modi holding with the MP9. Pretty solid position here. You assume that those 30 bullets are going to be able to clean up at least a couple players. Oh, here we go. Tempo Storm have themselves a flash. They can throw that, toss that into the drop zone. That could very well ruin Modi's day. Indeed, that's what's going to happen. He gets pop flash, going to have to pull away, but he's still in a good enough position to strike. And there we go. The MP9 is going to come good. Meanwhile, Freeze has been dropped down from Showtime, who gets a second kill as well. And that's going to be the MP9 now going into the hands of Tempo Storm. Not like this. Magic's going to push down. He get caught from the side, but we'll get the double spray down with the bomb being dropped. Huge play from him. And pretty much single-handedly pulls this round back for SK Gaming, although 2 players are pretty low here for Phelps.
That was massive for Showtime. The player that was in drop with the MP9 does kill, 1 player. I think that was Madi, but 2 other players got out into the connector, out of the window, and that was Showtime that kills 1 person through the doors, comes back and wins the battle as they look back into the window. And then things got really interesting there for Magic's Boy. I thought Tempo Storm were playing that perfectly, trying to bait those shots and then go for that peak, but Magic's Boy cleaned it up, and then Phelps trying to jump up into that smoke. Cillian will take him down. So the 2-0 for SK Gaming. Tempo Storm, though, do have money for a buy.
And to be fair as well to Magic's, that he very nearly did get caught out. It was just a pretty sick flick that he managed to do. And they discussed it on the desk. He had a really poor train performance. It's important for him that a guy that is expected to do so well will have a pretty solid start. This map could very well calm his nerves, get him some confidence. And P90 even is picked up for Pimp. You see likes of Get Right picking this up from time to time. He's in a pretty solid position as well. He's been boosted up into long. So if no one checks that, he will definitely bag himself a few kills.
Yeah, Cobble's one of those maps. I mean, obviously there was an effort in CSGO to have a lot more viable weapons choices, but Cobble really opens it up. The P90, all the shotguns are just insanely powerful because of the nature of that broken wall over a B, and then of course drop room. Even though Pimp isn't neither of those spots, but that boost, you can pretty much have anything up there.
Tree boost is in for Magic, so you're going to be looking to get that spray into effect if you can. Actually will drop down. Cillian is there as well. Magic is going to get picked up on the cross, and now Tempo Storm will be charging their way in. Wow. They're getting frags here, there, and everywhere. There's nothing SK can do about this one, just freeze. And the aforementioned P90 remain. And the P90 not the greatest weapon in this kind of situation, so SK may very well just be looking to save these last 2 weapons now.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. You do go in for the P90 or a submachine gun into one of the rifle rounds or a shotgun. If you don't actually get tested, then you are in a very horrible position to go retake with those weapons. And the bomb wasn't planted, but SK Gaming were kind of already just backing off. There's freeze set up. I mean, hard to even call that set up for an exit. It's just over an A. Does find one kill, so some information gone over to the side of Tempo Storm, who will try to hunt him down. You can see Showtime is close by, but very, very low. However, holding the angle, he could win that one out.
Yeah, sort of kind of an awkward state of play from SK, where they had the boost on tree, they decided to drop down, some flashes came in, Magic got picked off, and then it was just easy cruise control for Tempo Storm, who were looking to take these weapons away. The bomb's just about to explode, and Pimp, in the middle of nowhere, will be able to save this P90 and his utility as well.
Yeah, he went way far out into a T-spawn, which is one of the bigger areas on the map, which is kind of odd. I mean, it always was, and they just kind of kept it that way. So he's able to survive, and that's all they will have on this round. No one else is going to look to force up. I'd like to see them, maybe one person go ahead and buy a flash. Magic's Boy actually went in for a Kevlar and a 5.7. He could have bought a flash 2, flash and Pimp, and see what he can't do holding mouse 1 with the P90.
I always like to see this as well in these kind of eco rounds where the CTs will try something out of left field, they will try stacking a site. Because this P90, if they land the flashbang and they charge with the 5.7, the USPs and the P90, like, there is a pretty solid chance you're going to bag yourself a couple kills. So, as opposed to playing standard where you expect the AKs and the M4 just to take over, that's going to be a nice start. As the double mollies come down, it's going to spread to Pimp. He's going to have to come out, tries to get a frag before falling. He does do significant damage, but will bite the dust nonetheless. But Cillian is able to reclaim the weapon for himself and stand on the corpse of his teammates, and maybe he can deliver some fatal blows, but Tempo Storm, pretty solid anti-eco thus far.
Going to be hard at that range with no armor, which could be the bigger factor there. And Henny going to start making some moves. They got that information over at B. Feel that there might be a lot of people over there. Kind of surprised that Tempo didn't have a read on the economy and maybe go in for one of those recon players, give him an SMG and just have him storm out and find the stack. But of course, it's not really mattering here. Tempo Storm doing just fine, not even a player lost yet. And Phelps continuing to bring him down. He's on low HP, he's in danger of dying, and I thought he was maybe just gonna book it. Could have been the good play. He'll set up and hold the angle, and he wins that battle onto Magic's Boy.
Yeah, he basically faked as though he had booked it, you know. I went back down drop, and then suddenly, oh, no, I'm still here. 4 frags for Phelps in that round, so great cleanup from him. And SK going for the 4 spy, so this is a really shady buy. UMP from Ass, there is an AWP in play. But these are the kind of scenarios we talked about before, Helium, where Freeze, if you have this AWP, if you force behind it, you have got to land these shots, or you are a dead man.
Absolutely. And he is taking it over into B. Oh, nope. He heard me say it, and he was like, no, I'm out. He's going to go back over to A. There's Pimp all alone out there at long A, and it'll be Freeze to hold at the connector door, looking down onto the CT slope.
Oh, he's not going to know what's going to hit him here. If Henny checks his right-hand side, Pimp is dead. There we go, he spotted him. Is he going to go for the knife?
Oh, do it, Henny.
He's
the
going to
type of
go
guy
for the
that
knife.
would.
Pimp is going to stay static. Oh, get shanked right between the shoulder blades. That's so rough. That is a tilt moment right there, if you've ever seen one. Henny very nearly connects the dots onto the second player as well. Freeze is down to 6. His 4 spy simply has not worked.
And that's the problem with that setup, right? Freeze is at the connector door. He has no control of that mid-room. They can just walk straight up danger. Here's Madi. He's come off of the drop into the A site. Off that balcony, he was able to find 1, but Henny's there for the trade, make it his 2nd and 3rd kills of the round, and Phelps will get the others, a Cillian and a Magic's Boy, who are making those rotations over. Flawless round for Tempo Storm, and a ton of money, of course, for Henny, up to $8,900 because of that knife.
That'll do well towards his AWP fund whenever he decides to dip in there and pick it up for himself. And because of that...
Frowny face.
Yeah, it's sad times. That's the issue as well, because we saw Freeze originally go to B and then decide to go back to A. If he just sticks to the A play, he would have had eyes on mid and would have likely been able to call that Henny was pushing up. So you can see that the lack of cohesion or teamwork, maybe some comms going down, could be all the difference. Mac 10 now in. You said before you're surprised they didn't run with an SMG. This time they have. Comes to fruition. Money in the bank. Magic has been flashbanged. A bit of an awkward dance-off. But Bolts will get the upper hand. It's all on the ceiling. He can't get it done. And Tempo Storm, after a rocky start, have definitely stabilized 4-2 now.
Yeah, so Showtime really showing off how to make that SMG work on a round like that. Just run around a jump peek every single corner. We saw Tempo Storm doing that even with the Glocks on Train T-side, right? Just jumping around all the corners because The only thing you're in danger of against some of those upgraded pistols or on a pistol round, just the USPs, is that one-shot headshot. And it's so hard to do if you're just jumping and spinning and contorting in the air.
Freeze this time has gone into mid and will be peeking up. Did spot a player jumping across from the rock, but that would have been godlike reactions if you pulled that shot off. Henny would have been proud of that one. Instead, he will be backing away. SK. You had 3 players originally on the A side, are going to take 1 into drop zone. So for a few moments there, drop zone was completely vacant. Has now been occupied again.
And so far, every setup at A has been like semi-aggressive to just one side. We had Pimp up at long when he got knifed, and now we have them both watching CT slope. So there is a chance that someone on Tempo Storm could actually just go all the way around long A, and they'd have no idea.
And this will definitely be in the back of the minds of SK. As you can see now, Freeze is looking up towards long. The issue is with that smoke dead on mid. And the smoke also landing on drop zone. This allows Tempo to just push straight through into connector. They're going to pick up the frag onto Modi. And now that's so much map control going the way of the Brazilians. Freeze going to do what he can as Lucas jumps around the corner, misses the second shot. He's going to go down, and that leaves us in a 2v5. And again, SK probably going to be tapping out, saving those M4s. Tempo Storm 5 consecutive rounds now as the bomb gets planted.
Yeah, Pimp gets flashed or either had to turn from it, but disrupted by a flash nonetheless at the CT slope. So he loses his battle 1 versus 1, and it was Madi, I think, at the A, B, or the B connector doors. He got flashed, completely pushed back, and then killed within that smoke that was there. So they won both of their battles into drop and onto A, and then they just stormed with the split onto the A site. There was no chance for SK Gaming pretty much after losing those first 2. So Magic's Boy and Asilian were held up on B. That's where Asilian gets his 1 frag of the round, make it his second now as he's trying to hide out in the back of the museum. But Bolts won't let that happen, and Magic's Boy, he's going to get spotted as well, hiding out in T spawn.
Yeah, the economy the way it is, Tempo Storm can afford to throw away some weapons to take this all away from SK, and indeed they'll do just that. So keeping 2 weapons intact, SK now backs against the wall once again. We discussed this as well. We said the CT side on Cobblestone is shaky to start off with, but SK, they've just not been able to really get themselves down. I mean, they lost the 3rd round in a position they should have maybe won in. They had a more weapons on the board. They had a stronger economy as well. And since then, it's just been one-way traffic. Upgraded pistols, the order of the day for SK.
Well, we won't get too far ahead of ourselves again, given what happened on Train. Cobble could just be the exact opposite with the Terrorist winning all the rounds. Magic's Boy with the Deagle going to take that boost. Can't call it a 1-dig, but that second shot, I think he gets a bit lucky with that one. Does connect to the face of Phelps. It even went through the box.
And it is a pretty solid start, though, for Tempo Storm, because now it allows them to boost up onto the platform and try and get some control over long. Problem is, though, as this round progresses through, Tempo Storm should be able to clear out these angles and get themselves back into this map, and it's exactly what's happened. Modi goes down, next on the chopping block will be Magic. It's a nice double frag for Bolts, using the M4 against the CTs.
Can always get a little bit scared when that Deagle starts getting some kills, because you know you're not safe, right? Even though you've got armor and an AK, if they're just feeling it and they hit those 1-digs, you go down. So it's really big on Bolts that he steps up and wins those 2 battles over at B. Now they've got the number advantage. Showtime going to push up. He'll bring down Freeze, expecting someone to be in the smoke, so just firing at it. He was expecting the swarm. CTs on rounds like these behave a lot like Zerglings.
And they will be stamped out from Showtime. Full house of frag, Showtime with 3, Bolts with 2. And SK now back into a buy. Instant AWP for Freeze. Asilian has 6k, so he has a decision to make. We know he does like to run with potentially the auto sniper AWP, but again, it's just not as viable on this map, the auto sniper, so he will be running with the M4 instead.
Look at the twins. They haven't had to do anything. Both of them had 3 kills each. 11, 10, and 7 for the other members of Tempo Storm.
The other worrying thing as well is Pimp's typically a guy on the CT side that you're expecting to lock down, like to really perform. He's 1 for 6 right now. So he's not having anywhere near the same level of impact as we saw him have on Train on the CT side. When playing along, it is a bit of a precarious position, especially when you're having to retake B most rounds. This could be his moment to shine. 2 players lining up for him, Showtime's first, and he's going to get the kill without Henny even needing to do anything, and only loses 28 damage in the process. Tempo Storm are getting battered again.
Showtime just hit him with the crouch peek.
Sorry,
and one out there. Yeah, the top bar is backwards. We'll get that sorted. It's been screwing with my mind as well. As there's Freeze standing tall and hitting that shot over at B. And Asilian, that's an insane flick over and a headshot onto Lucas. So man advantage now for SK Gaming. Only Pimp has fallen. Showtime very, very blind, but there's no follow-up here from SK.
How much information Showtime's getting for his team. He's pushing all the way up. With 4 players left for SK, no one has this locked down. He had 2 players on A, but they're playing so passive and over towards the long side.
Well, Magic's Boy just ran through here on his rotation over.
Oh, Showtime. He completely whiffed the opportunity. He'd be desperately disappointed with himself. However, the rest of his team are going to be coming through. Henny will connect that shot. 25 seconds left. Modi from behind gets picked. What the? What was that? Did he just spin round and open?
I think Modi thought he had the kill already wrapped up. Stop shooting, and Henny, you can't give that man anything to exploit, because he will. He turns, hits that shot. Insane double kill for Henny, and now it's Phelps. Might have to command the rest of the round because he's on 100 HP, and he will take down Freeze, and at the back of the site, he gets the shot onto Asilian, but you got to give a round of applause over to Henny.
I'm actually done. I'm just done right now.
Metuz is retired.
I mean, Henny, I would love to see that shot again. I feel like that was absolutely ridiculous, but SK were in a 4v2.
Yeah, that's really rough. And they almost were like given even another opportunity, right? Because the shots were whiffed on the Magic's Boy. That should have been a free kill, and it wasn't. Magic's Boy gets that. Everything's looking great for SK. But again, it's Henny, this crazy opper from South America that's getting it done. And they go for the counter boost. They beat that Molotov by a little bit, but Lucas will win that one out.
None of these trades are going the way of SK. We're seeing like these 50-50 trades that are coming out second best every single time. We saw it Pimp on long A, Modi now on drop. He had every chance with the FAMAS at that range to get the frag. So SK, I mean, they've just completely been decimated. Their confidence,
right
again,
there.
another 50-50 that you'd expect Pimp normally to pick up. Doesn't go his way. Now it's on Asilian on the site by his lonesome. He does have the cavalry coming in, but he's down to 35. Valiant attempt, though, I've got to say, holding off the initial charge.
Yeah, keeping the rounds alive, potentially, for SK Gaming. Everyone else, we saw it. You mentioned the point, and then Magic's Boy, Modi, and Pimp all lost their individual battles. Asilian tries to fight back, but is it a little too late? We'll find out.
Oh, they both
rotated to A as well. They're both on A, yeah. They're using that buddy system, and that might be the backfiring mechanic on this round.
Yeah. Because originally they were both going towards B. Like, Asilian was on the statue, Freeze was coming in through drop zone. And then they both said, okay, let's go A, boys. And that's so unlucky. But they're now about to get notified that there was the incorrect decision. The bomb has now been planted. And they split up now. So whereas before they were running with the buddy system, now...
They've got to be saving, right?
Yeah, you'd assume so.
I mean, there was no chance of retaking. The bomb went down. They cleared out everything. They realized no one was there. They got in the perfect post plants. Showtime taking the aggressive, like, first point of contact. One up on the upper B platform, and then another sitting on the site. There's no chance of a retake. And they'll back off to Hogwarts. Haven't visited that yet since being here. I haven't been able to find it. It might not exist.
Look hard to scrub.
I've run into a couple walls down there in the London Underground. Nothing's worked.
Well, a couple players dropping 13 for Tempo Storm. Again, it's not really been an individual performance. It hasn't been the Henny show. We've had...
Except that one round.
Except for that one ridiculous 360. I don't even know if it was a no-scope.
It actually could have been.
It looked like it could have been there. Again, like, I really... can't wait to watch that replay. I'm sure it's going to be up on Reddit and all sorts. But Phelps and Showtime, both with 13 kills, Henny with 5. So again, just goes to show that the rest of his team have been pulling the strings, been pulling their weight. SK have a fairly decent buy coming in. Utility has been expended right off the bat from both teams on the platform. Freeze this time holding the close angle with the M4. We've seen him do this a bunch with Yorp, but now actually looking to push through potentially, trying to get some information for his team. You can see the bullets coming from his left-hand side, which was Showtime. But unbeknownst to him, Henny's also peeking with the Yorp, so he has to be so careful not to give his life away for free.
And there were a ton of nades at the start of the round, as there usually are over on that Long B platform. But SK Gaming weren't able to do much with it. I don't believe that Asilian's on the platform. I think he's just under at the wall, and it's Phelps here in drop, taking the first battle, shooting that FAMAS far away where no one can grab it. He brings down Modi. Pimp is able to get one, but Phelps right there on the trade out. Freeze hiding around into smoke, will catch off Showtime, but there's the trade from Phelps, his 3rd kill on the round, and another pretty quick one and decisive one for Tempo Storm. It's just a Cillian left in a 1 versus 3.
You know, you can keep saving all you want, but you're just losing out on rounds time after time after time. Eventually, the CTs are going to have to try and make a run for this. Sure, the last map was very one-sided, both halves, but Cobblestone's got a very different beast, especially with Tempo Storm. Cillian's going to look to surf his way down the wall. And he has heard that. Close range, whips out his Tech 9. The strength in numbers, but actually he doesn't need any backup. He's there with the Tech 9 close range. Tempo Storm with a 9-2 lead, and this is getting out of control now for SK.
Yeah, the timeout. There we go. That's what we didn't see from them on train when that first half was so abysmal for them. They will take the timeout and can try to discuss exactly what they want to do. I mean, what do you talk about on the CT side of Cobble, right? Like, you either decide, like, we're playing one person at A, we're going to retake on A, or you set up and spend a little bit more time talking about the crossfire and who's going to watch what at A, make sure the communication's perfect. And the same thing at B, just set up those crossfires and make sure that your communication at B is perfect. I think that's all you can do unless you really want to throw caution to the wind and push and do something aggressive as a team. But I don't know if they'll be willing to do that.
Well, as we mentioned before we actually got into Cobblestone, one of the interesting things about CT side is you can try and get aggressive round from A side. The thing is, though, the Tempo Storm are playing a very, very smart game. They've got players who are applying pressure, drop zone, also a platform, but they've also got a couple of players who are sitting back in mid around the statue fountain and just watching. And just effectively saying, if you go for the rotate, we have this in the bag, like, easily. Freezes try to do it and Pimps try to do it a couple of times. They've been shut down. Tempo Storm have looked dominant so far. At this scoreline, actually, considering that SK's 2 rounds came as a result of the pistol round, another day this could be an 11-0 scoreline.
Yeah, that's actually a really worrying thought. One other thing I've noticed that's been going pretty poorly for SK Gaming, holding, not necessarily the holding of the drop room, but the holding of the connector. We've seen, I think, mostly Phelps jumping out of that drop window into the connector so many times and finding success. So they need to definitely tighten up that area of the map or find a way to ignore it and play more A heavy, B heavy, and kind of ignore the middle area.
You can see him deep in thought right now. Although it doesn't look like there's a lot of talk in there.
Look at those ADRs, man. Oh, they don't see them yet, sorry. But we've got 130 ADR there on some of the players. Now it'll come up. Showtime with 134. These are insane numbers in case you're newer to Counter-Strike. I mean, you're looking at like 80, mid-80s as really good over like a big period of maps.
Over 100 is effectively like godlike, almost. And you got Showtime 134, 120 for Phelps as well, whereas the top ADR you're looking at is a Cillian with 77. Which, I mean, it's respectable, but when you consider that Pimp's on 38 and Freeze on 42.
That's tough.
That's pretty rough.
Another stat here that I think really highlights how this game has been going, you mentioned, of course, like it just looks like they're losing all the duels on the side of SK Gaming, these 1v1 individual battles, and I think the stats kind of back that up. Look at the number of first kills, the difference here. Like Phelps has 3, all of SK combined have 3 first kills.
Yeah. Although Magic has more first kills needed in the last map with 1. 0 first kills in the last map. Rough. 3 for Phelps, as you said, has mainly been through drop zone. Showtime's had himself a couple as well alongside Lucas, and everyone's really been chiming in. And whereas on the side of Tempo, you could say, oh, well, you know, Lucas is only on 50 ADR. Yeah, but he hasn't really needed to be required to step up, right? Because he's got 2 players who are just going nuts, going balls to the wall, so 50 really doesn't make any difference. But we are live again, ladies and gents. The timeout has came and gone, and SK go for a stack on A. They've just been wrecked, absolutely wrecked. Tempo Storm with a fast B play.
I mean, that's unfortunate, right? I like to see that. I like to see you go for a stack, and of course they took that timeout. Everyone seems to mention it when it happens, like, do you need to take a timeout on an eco? I think in this case you do, because you're just actually getting, you know, straight up wrecked. You gotta just cool it. Maybe don't even talk for the first 2 minutes. Everyone just settle down and focus on the game, and then talk about what you want to do. This is a gamble stack, of course it doesn't work out. It's still something I like to see. It's round 13 that we're really looking forward to see how SK will make these adjustments.
Yeah, I guess it serves as a dual purpose timeouts. It's not just to talk about, you know, tactically where are we going wrong, what can we fix. It's just to kind of slow everyone down, get the momentum out, the sails of Tempo Storm, bring them back to a more stable, level mind as well for SK Gaming. Now, obviously that was a throwaway round. They were going for the stack. This is the round they were really calling that timeout for. This is the moment, really. For me, if they're going to get anything out of this map, it needs to come right here, right now. If they lose this, they're staring a 13-2 half, which just simply isn't good enough on Cobblestone.
Yeah, and I think it seems pretty apparent on both maps that Tempo Storm is just the more individually skilled team, or the ones that have at least showed up to this LAN and brought their skill with them.
I think it's safe to say they are the more individually skilled team as well, to be fair, and they've shown up.
So as long as they don't maybe have, I think Richard mentioned it on the analyst desk, maybe there was just some complacency there in Tempo Storm when it came to closing out Train. If they don't fall into that same trap here on Cobble, it could be tough. But Freeze will come away with the first kill. He's going to find Phelps in the side, takes a shot through the smoke, but that one won't land. He'll go up top. Another vantage point, but he's flashed and he's been pushed back.
At least he will manage to escape, though. We haven't seen a lot of clear-cut kills and not a lot of burst kills. That's only the 4th that we've seen from SK Gaming now. The bomb's been planted, though, in amongst all of the mayhem. So even though SK have started things off nicely, this could go horribly wrong. They're looking to set up. The boost comes into effect. The Magic's boy is going to get himself the kill into Henny. That's a pretty big scalp to take. Lucas, meanwhile, will answer back before falling. And now bolts up on platform. With it all to do, it's a claustrophobic environment in this kind of situation, though, as incendiaries and all sorts will be thrown your way. Just flashes that remain, and Showtime gets picked off. USP close range, execution from Pimp. I said that round was important. SK, it was close. Magic's only on 1 HP, for example, but they get it done.
And what we saw there, it was back in B on the bigger wall on the B platform where we actually saw them boost earlier on an eco with those deagles where they found some success. This time they do it with the op. That's how Freeze gets the first kill. He's able to fall back. They have a man advantage when the bomb goes down and the retake comes into an effect. And I think it was Magic's boy who went over the boost, over the smoke wall, did find a kill there, and then they had a big man advantage at that point and are able to retake.
So SK eyeing up the 5th potential round to finish for this half. It wouldn't be impossible, but again, there's a little distance and time between then and now. Double up setup for SK, certainly viable choice. Pimp with the second, we discussed this before. He's very good with the rifle, but he can also pick up that AWP and make it work for him. This is the first time we've seen with the AWP today, though.
Pimp? Yeah. I've seen him buy one and drop it over to Freeze, and I thought for a second he was going to use it, but it didn't happen. And they will throw a flash in. Actually, I think Freeze just threw that one himself to try to take over that angle.
That's unfortunate, though.
He
tags
did.
Henny,
Yeah, he did tag Henny. Brought it down to 19, but it's not a kill. And Henny still alive with an op. Always scary.
Yeah, and with 19 HP, you can still make the AWP work. Absolutely. There are HEs in the hands, though, of SK Gaming. Oh, Freeze very nearly shifts across and lands the flick shot. He goes down, and that gives up control over B long, and in doing so, it's going to keep SK in the back of their minds trying to focus on this B side, but meanwhile, there's going to be the play onto the A side. Pimp is going to connect his shot onto Lucas. Pretty important kill, but still, Tempo Storm retain the player advantage.
Now they've got SK possibly rotating between sites. I think Tempo Storm can be aware of that. Well, now they're definitely aware, as we see where Phelps is pushing all the way into KFC right now. Madi, meanwhile, killed Showtime, so that even things back up to a 3-on-3. Generally still a terrorist advantage, as Asilian will spawn another. Both Henny and Bolt's very, very low. And Bolt's going to plant the bomb, and it's retake now for SK Gaming. They've got kits, 2 flashes, and a nade.
This HE could actually be the MVP of this round. If that lands on either Henny or Bolt's, this could be it. Molotov thrown down. Modi has the HE. Where is he going to decide to throw? It's going to be up on platform. I don't think that's going to land onto Henny, though. Indeed, it doesn't. It was too deep towards the alcove. That being said, they have picked themselves up the kill in this 3-on-3, and that gives them the player advantage. Phelps on the side of the chicken coop while Henny's watching the cross. Is he going to peek through? Gets the drop on one player, looking for the second, gets a double spray down, and that leaves Pimp all by himself. He's going to USP headshot Phelps. Last player is Henny, and of course he connects it. Pimp can't get his 1v2 today. SK concede an 11th round.
Yeah, that round a bit like Game of Thrones. Everybody dies, but hey, it's still Tempo Storm taking another round. They planted the bomb, and we know their economy is fine. The same can't really be said for SK Gaming, who got a one-off round, quickly reset. We'll see what they have in just a little bit when the sidebars come back. And okay, still able to get more than I thought they would be able to. Some utility, glass cannon op, even a kit there on Madi, but he makes a big sacrifice. He's got a CZ of smoke.
It's still super rough, though, right? Like, such little utility to play with, and they've lost the first play. And because of this buy, SK are forced into a desperation charge. Freeze right onto the open. And I mentioned this before, you're consistently having Tempo Storm watching that push very patiently, waiting for SK to trap themselves. Modi now with the CZ. And he's going to get picked up from behind. And looks like SK will be going out with a whimper on their CT side of Cobblestone. Magic has himself the M4, but no utility, no way of getting out of drop zone alive, and he's gonna get picked off. Tempo Storm 12-3 halftime.
I feel like every time we go to Phelps, like Phelps cam, he's on, their CT's alive, but he's just on B.
Yeah.
And he's getting so many kills from that. And he kind of adjusted because initially it was Phelps going into drop room and coming out the window so often, and then he just switched to moving on to the site on that main take. SK Gaming, honestly, I didn't notice a big change in how they were playing after their pause. Like, we saw their one round that they won. It was like, all right, let's actually take control of the B platform, freeze hit some op shots, and they won. Kind of sounds like how they got the one round on Train, freeze hit some op shots, and they got around. Other than that, it doesn't seem like anything is working for this team. They're not in sync, and they're losing every single individual battle that they take.
I can't really add anything to that. I mean, that's exactly how this game's been going so far. I feel like the timeout was more to calm their own potential tilt, I feel, get some of that momentum away. They did go for that stack onto the A site straight afterwards, but that's a call you can make in a couple seconds in the freeze time.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I didn't see a great deal of difference. I think the desperation is coming in, and what I thought would be one of the closest best of threes today. I mean, I guess the scoreline of Train was close.
That'll teach you to think in the future. Turn that brain off.
A very deceiving map, though, all things considered, was Train. But Tempo Storm, if they pick this pistol round up, they're going to coast to a 2-0 in this best of 3.
And Phelps is 23-9, by the way.
Yep.
He just went off in the remainder. I mean, obviously the whole first half, but in the later moments, he was just killing everybody.
And to the other teams as well, maybe watching this, it's got to be terrifying. Bolt was a god on Train. Phelps is playing huge. Henny still has that potential. Lucas and Showtime have had their moments as well. Like, everyone's been pulling their weight. Everyone's been performing so far. There's been no weak links for Tempo Storm.
And we saw some aggression in there onto the platform. He'll drop back, they'll boost him up, and now they're going to go for the double peek in here, trying to win these long-range battles, the ones that they should win. Finally, Bolts finds a kill. It's onto Asilian, and Phelps just keeps on giving him the peeks, giving him the shoulder, and it's Bolts that comes away with those frags. And look at Henny, he's going to go unchecked. He won't even take the shot. He's going sneaky beaky, like that's the CT motto after all.
Certainly is. Freeze and Magic's boy. Bomb has been planted.
Oh, and he gets cleaned up.
But there's the HG from downtown. He will go down, leaving Freeze, and 1v3 has the USP. So he's going to be able to get those one-taps in effect if he can land the shots, which he can't so far. And Lucas will put him down, and Tempo Storm move one step closer. They're taking this first victory of the tournament.
Yeah, so that's what we didn't see on Train, right? Tempo Storm lost the pistol in the second half. That opened up the comeback. But here, Tempo Storm just knocked it out of the park, right? Great play, great synergy over on the B plat. From Bolts, and who else was it? Was it Phelps? That seems right.
Bolts got the first 2 kills, but
yeah, Phelps was the
peeking.
one
Yeah.
that kept peeking. So they take that. The bomb did go down, but just because they're already on 13 rounds, the force will come out from SK Gaming. Maybe we'll catch Tempo Storm off guard.
They pretty much have to, though, because if you eco in this kind of situation, you're playing for, what, 14-3, and then, I mean, you're pretty much dead and buried if you lose. So I can understand this force buy.
That's a nade.
Oh my goodness, that nade though. That is, what, 125 damage or thereabouts?
You know,
Wow.
Steph Curry's injured, so that nade is stepping up to fill his place.
Did a player just sneak by Lucas? Yeah.
Well,
Modi snuck all the way through, and this could be so detrimental if he just holds the close angle. Lucas did not spot him whatsoever. And you can see that Showtime had no idea what was about to hit him. Rip for Tempo Storm. Solid play from SK, who are looking to clean this up and finally get it done, although it was a bit awkward.
yeah,
And he goes
definitely
down.
needed clean because that was a bit of a mess there, that last little battle.
And that's why you force buy, because now it gives SK a glimmer of hope to maybe break the economy of Tempo and start to get their way back into this map.
I mean, CSGO and Cobble, I mean, force buying certainly seems like the no-brainer, right? So that's 13-4, and that's great. That's honestly, it is better than winning the pistol from SK's perspective. The only reason it maybe wouldn't be is because it's one round to Tempo Storm and they're so close to closing it out. But overall, you've completely wrecked Tempo Storm's economy right now, and you should be able to put 3 on the board because of it. Well, including that one. So 2 more.
There is a very heavy stack though on this A long side. They're checking it. No, they don't check it. Phelps is going to get himself a headshot. Bolt is there as well. They're taking weapons down, but from a T's perspective, that's not the end of the world. Of course, the economy is much more forgiving on that side. But still, a bit sketchy for a few moments. Lucas by himself on B, hoping that the wraparound comes into fruition, but SK playing this one very slowly indeed, and why the hell not? They got 1 minute and 10 to play with.
Yeah, they just don't want to run straight into that one last player. Lucas was hoping they shifted it like, all right, A's obviously stacked. Let's get out of here and go to B. But not the case. They play it slow. Lucas is now going to get a little bit aggressive, and Pimp will move forward and start clearing stuff out again.
Lucas is trying to wrap himself around, though, around the back of Tempo Storm, which could be a fruitful play. With the Deagle, you're not expecting him to get this 1v3. That's for certain. But maybe if you can get an exit frag and save one of these weapons, that could be good enough for Tempo Storm in this situation.
Well, maybe even a kill just before the bomb goes down, cause a little bit more confusion. They do have no idea where he is. One will be checked. There should be enough people alive for SK Gaming in the post plant to cover everything. Madi's in a corner down there on CT slope. Lucas, yeah, he gets back to the guns. We'll take the Galil away from that.
Yeah, that was quite clearly the play there for Lucas, just deciding to try and save a weapon. It's a Galil rather than an AK, but he'll take it if he can save it. Also picked up a Molotov. 12 bullets left. That should be good enough at close range to dispatch at least one of these terrorists, but they're going to start to filter their way out. So
now I wonder what Tempo Storm will do in round 19, because it should be another eco round for them. They even went for some, more powerful pistols here into round 18. But I wonder if picking up the Galil will actually make them think, like, all right, well, now we've got a Galil, let's actually just force buy behind it.
Looks like Lucas is going to keep it as well. Goes for the peak at the last second. It always scares me to death when I see players do that for like a second, because it can be such a nightmare, a heartbreaking moment. And they're in that situation now where they could feasibly go for the force. I just feel like in this kind of scenario, you've got such a round buffer, there's no rush, there's no pressure really on you to get the job done just yet. Why not save up, get yourself a really solid buy in the next round instead? You're going to have AWPs in play and just bite the bullet here, basically.
Yeah, I feel the same way. A lot of teams, though, will get in that trap. Like, oh, we got a Galil, let's force behind it. And that's what I was kind of worried about. But if you really want to talk about great CS and be a great team, you have to be confident in your rifle rounds where you have full utility. Exactly. So why not just get out to that point first and then close it out, because you know you're the better team. And
to be fair, one of the keys to success now for SK to bring this back is if Tempo Storm make poor decisions and force buying and break their own economy. That is one of the ways that SK can get themselves back into this game. So Tempo Storm having the clarity of mind to just save rather than going for that force. Because they were all around the mid 3,000s. I think one of the players had like 5K as well. They could have gone for that force. As you can see, heading with 4.8K, so they could have gone for a force, but I feel it would have been a pretty big mistake.
And they've gone for basically the same play again. They put everyone here at the long A area. Eventually, enough time went off the clock, almost a minute even. They finally pop, flash, push out, make that informational play. I think the idea was, Lucas, do what you can. Maybe you get one kill and they shift over to A and they run into our stack. But it's Lucas with the Galil. I do not think he meant to jump right there. That was a bit of a misplay by him. He will come away with no kills, and it's Phelps left on 8 HP. It looks like SK Gaming might take a flawless round.
Although 2 players, 1 bullet away from death. 3's not much more HP than that.
Well, he's got a P250. Everyone's 1 bullet away from death.
Potentially, yeah. But with 8 HP, I mean, there's no hope. Pimp's going to check the corner, I assume, and will find this kill. Finally gets it done. Now Tempo Storm, as a result, their patience will have a very healthy buy through into this, the 20th round. I'm sure it will include an AWP in the hands of Henny. Indeed, it will. Lucas is going to go for an M4. And this is the reason you save, because that is a very solid buy indeed.
Yeah, the AWP, of course, is what everyone's going to want to see there. Taking a look at Magic's boys' stats. ADR is decent. We'll give them 87 for that one.
A whole lot better than Train.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Had a pretty miserable time on that map. We'll have 2 over at A. Both of them are going to take a kind of aggressive posture towards that mid room for Tempo Storm. So they are covering each other's backs, something that SK Gaming, didn't have done. And that's why Pimp got a knife to the back at one point in that first half.
He certainly did while he was peeking through long A from danger. 3 players on B. More of an aggressive defense from Tempo Storm for now, with Henny watching the angle. And I mean, it doesn't surprise me he'd use that angle because his reaction speed is so quick. These are the kind of explosive AWP shots you're expecting to see from him. SK Gaming with a very, very slow attack so far. Still 4 Molotovs in play. Starting to throw the smokes now, which suggests that the set play is imminent. Is it going to fake out Tempo Storm? They seem to be holding on right now. More of a passive defense on drop zone, just vacating the area, allowing SK to push in there. But they do have 2 players sights trained on the entrance out. Lucas is one of those players, and he's going to put down Magic's boy. Nice start. Lucas now going to be peeking out again. Phelps, meanwhile, actually was hoping to push in after that flashbang, but it's going to be Pimp that comes out for the first kill. Gets traded out, though. Very nicely done from Tempo Storm. They don't check the corner, and Bolt is there for the double spray. And the bomb gets dropped, but it doesn't matter because the round's already over. Tempo Storm 14-6 in the lead. SK Gaming will be reeling. They have enough economy to rebuy, though, replenish those lost weapons, but it's the currency at the top that counts, and that reads that they are 8 rounds behind.
What a round for Tempo over at B. They had, I think it was Phelps that covered the close angle on drop, and then Lucas was taking the attention through that pathway by rectangle further away, and he actually was the one that came away with both of the kills. And I didn't see where Bolts was the entire round, but ultimately he got his kills from the position under the B platform. So I don't even think they played on the site. SK Gaming, you know, taking their time, clearing their angles, checking everything on the site, and no one was there. Everyone's playing in that just straight line on the long B platform. And that worked out perfectly.
A really solid take from SK. Went horribly awry as the trades went back and forth. And that's another issue that SK have had. They don't really seem to get many avenging frags on their CT side. They typically get entry'd out, and that's pretty much it done. Tempo Storm, though, after winning that round, you can see that coming into this round, actually, they have very little utility and a Max 7 in play. And with Showtime falling down right off the bat, that's going to force out at least 1 player from the B side, which leaves B now a little bit more vulnerable. The head peeking out at Henny will take it clean off the shoulders of Freeze. Just when you thought that SK had some advantages, it's back to equality again.
Yeah, quality is a good thing, though, for the T's, especially on a map like Cobble.
Especially with that utility as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, because Madi is definitely pre-aiming this angle, and the Molotov's going to go in. Lucas jumping out with the Mag 7. That maybe still could have been a bit dangerous for Tempo Storm, but as SK now with the man advantage, and Bolts, he was definitely man of the match over on Train. Flash going to go out. That blinds everybody. That caught the SK players as well, so a team flash for SK, slowing things down a little bit now. Bolts, he'll drop the bomb. He gets dinked up, and he gets aim punched, but he's still hitting these shots, and he comes away with a triple at the end of it. And honestly, that flash from SK, that it did blind everybody, but you blinded your teammates, and you slowed everything down.
They did that earlier as well, 2 or 3 rounds ago, when they were looking to push out a drop. A flash landed, and I think it was Pimp that was the close angle, and it hit him just as much as it did Tempo Storm. So this ruthless aggression from Tempo Storm continues. Some ridiculous individual performance. Bolts with a triple frag in that round. A couple of spray down kills as well. Pretty ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, curious what Phelps' stats are. I guess we might see them pretty soon over on the desk because Tempo Storm are at match point. And they could close it out here on round 22. Henny going to take a shot through the doors, just a timing thing for him. And now he'll Foon his way over to B, hitting some nice hops. And it's showtime. That'll take the first battle, the second battle, and nearly the third battle. That's Pimp left on 16 HP.
Job done, though. 2 kills and 84 damage inflicted to Pimp. Showtime certainly doing his work there. Here comes Phelps. Freeze. And Modi will bounce back with frags. It's a 2-on-2 out of nowhere. And when you consider that there's a Mag 7 in the hands of Lucas, which is not a fantastic weapon to retake with.
Especially from where he's coming from. He's coming up CT's slope. What is fantastic for him is he might, he does find an A1S, and he's also picked up another flash that is on top of the Molotov and smoke he already had. So he's got a lot of utility if they place it right. And they've placed it right. That puts Madi out of position. He loses that duel. Now it's all up to Freeze coming out of the rat hole here. Oh, no!
You didn't just whiff that. You didn't.
I mean, that was his opportunity for the round right there, and it is... He doesn't take it. Didn't take the opportunity.
Oh, dude. He even got boosted. It was such a smart play from SK. Boosted. They clearly had no idea where he was, but then just whiffs everything. And that, for me, actually, that last play